Don't think that just because people aren't liking or commenting that they're not seeing it. She is watching, and I can tell she knows my story. She's like, oh, and I saw you post this thing about your daughter. Oh, and then I saw you were in Sydney, and she knows, she's reading every word. Don't underestimate how many people see your content.
Before we leave, I do want to touch on a little bit on LinkedIn. You touched on it a little bit earlier. It's such a powerful platform. I mean, me and you are here talking because of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So
So good.
powerful, and even again, like for me, it's like I say with our team, I got to be every hour of the day, we got to be on LinkedIn, literally like obsessed with it because you like the organic reach that you get, like you're in your target audience, especially if you're in the B2B world. And I've seen with you how consistent you are on LinkedIn and posting on there. And how have you seen that correlate to your business?
First of all, I agree. I feel like a LinkedIn cheerleader. Like I totally agree. All of you listening to what Sugira is saying, I think it's a phenomenal platform. I also think that it hasn't quite reached its peak yet. So it's really worth the investment because you have a better organic reach on LinkedIn than you do on many other platforms. You touched on consistency or, just regular content sharing, which I think is really important. As you said, it's like a practice in my team. There's no ifs and buts. We actually post now 3 times a day, every single day, except for the weekend when we post once a day on the weekend. We know exactly when we post different content at different times of the day because I have different time zones. So I know not science, but I'm pretty sure what works better in the East versus the West. So that's how we kind of make that work. And the big thing I would say about LinkedIn is that it's a mindset shift. And why I say that is when you realize how great it is for meeting people, like us today, it no longer is like a social media platform. Because I think in the beginning, I always sort of felt a bit guilty for spending time on LinkedIn because I was like, oh, I'm just on social media. But what I realized, particularly in the last year, is that it's not just social media, right? This is a business tool, it is a media tool, it is a reach tool. And what you give it, it gives you back. It's the more you invest into it. So a significant part of my day, like you, every day is on LinkedIn. And I don't think that's like wasted time or like me doom scrolling, right? That is new business development. That is reach development. That is investment into the future of empathy and this platform. So I think it's a really important mindset shift to not see LinkedIn as just like another Instagram feed, right? This is a business growth tool. And as I said, the more you put in, the more you get out.
It's distribution, right? It's distribution. Like we don't, this is an unparalleled time that we have. Like you have distribution to the marketplace, and LinkedIn even further is that platform. And for like a lot of your clients and a lot of your business, people are on LinkedIn to learn. You're on LinkedIn to grow. You're in a different mindset than you are on other platforms. And so if you can now be on the other side of that, there's people out there who are struggling with their team. And when they come across you, like, yes, that's like empathy. That's one thing that we're missing, right? Like a lot of people's biggest issues is within their team. And that's why I think, what you do is so valuable and why you're speaking around the world, because that is like the culture in your business. That is a huge topic that people need every single day and people are struggling with. And so when you're on the other side of that, supplying, the content is just going to make you stand out and be that authority figure.
And the other thing I'd say, Sagira, and thank you, is don't think that just because people aren't liking or commenting that they're not seeing it. Because often I will go to conferences or events or something, and someone will say, oh, Mimi, I follow your every post, and I saw you say this, and I saw you say this, and I think, I have literally never heard this name in my life. So to me, they are not there. Like, let's pretend her name is Joe Blogs, right? I've never seen that Joe. I know because I look every day. But Joe is telling me she is watching, and I can tell she knows my story. She's like, oh, and I saw you post this thing about your daughter. Oh, and then I saw you were in Sydney, and she knows, she's reading every word. But
Mhm.
to me, she was before then invisible. So I
Mhm.
think LinkedIn also has a lot of passive viewership. They're not liking, they're not commenting, particularly if you're talking about the workplace. Maybe they don't want their boss to see them liking a post on psychological safety or whatever it is, right? But don't underestimate how many people see your content, even if they don't engage with it. So yeah, just stay optimistic that that content, as you just said, is distributing, is reaching people, and more people than you know are reading what you're putting out there, which is really positive.
Extremely positive. And I also love how you're very strategic on there. Like everything you, it's like it really is a science, right? Like I really love that. Like the time, everything that you're doing, how many days, like 3 times a day. I love that, being strategic to the minor detail. What do you see works the most when you post? Is it the personal stuff? Is it the business side? What works the best for you?
I think that the winning equation is personal plus education, which are the two things you said. So that's really, I guess, the combination that I try to push there. So as much of that kind of, and when I say personal, I think personal to me is not that personal to others, but things that are about my journey, right? So how I feel standing on stage, or opportunities I've got, or I've been invited to Parliament. That I'm not talking about like what I had for breakfast, or my motherhood, right? I don't put personal stuff on there, but I'm just talking about personal opinion on the leadership or the work that I'm doing, right? So it's got me in there. And then the second bit that I do is that educational content. So statistics, carousels, whatever, infographics, like you said, there, Sugira, things that people can learn from. And I try to keep that very varied. So, if I post this week about empathy and leadership, next week I will perhaps talk about empathy and conflict. And the next week it might be around, emotional intelligence and Gen Z or whatever. So fundamentally it's the same education, but you're coming at it from different angles, because of course otherwise people are going to get really bored, like, ugh, not another post on that. So I think that is the winning combo. Make sure people know who you are as a leader, that personal content, but again, personal in the business world. And then educational inspiration. Just give people things that they can think about. 23% higher profit. They're like, oh, that's interesting. So I think that combination is probably, I was going to say the winning formula, but I'm not sure I'm winning yet. But certainly it seems to work. So
Definitely envision the future, like an in-person podcast, as we continue to grow, expand, I just love that energy, the passion. Like you said, you can see it and feel it. And I think so many people are really going to love this conversation. And I just want to thank you so much. And I will put your details in the description for people to get in touch, high level CEOs, wanting to be able to instill a lot of these principles and values within their organization to, like we said, grow their empires and grow that personal brand as well. I think it all relates. So I want to thank you so much for your time today.
Well, listen, the thanks is right back at you. I'm so happy that we made it work, and that you invited me, and that LinkedIn brought us together. And yeah, for me.
My name is Sugira Rubasha, the co-founder of the Rubasha Family Podcast. Now, I know you have a story to tell. I know you have a mission and vision that you obsess constantly about, and you're solving problems in the marketplace. So I want to sit down and get your story. I want to hear the real juice and authentic of who you are, because at the end of the day, people want to know about you. They care about you as a human being. So this is your chance to come on the Rubasha Family Podcast and be part of our Founder Series. We are hosting a Founder Series with entrepreneurs from all over the world who had an imagination to create their business. We want to know you, the person, and how you're solving problems in the marketplace. So if you want to get in touch, fill out our quiz. Now, the quiz is a way for us to qualify you to see if you can come on the show. We can really see how powerful your brand is, where you are, so we can have you as an industry expert to come and tell your story. Business and life is all about communication. How can you tell stories, and how can I sit down and ask you questions that are going to get to your soul? See you soon.